Hello to all the geek enthusiasts and nerd aficionados. This is Mess 5150 from Malice Corp, live to talk to you about MaliceCast Live. We are here to talk all things nerd, and when we say all things nerd, this week it's going to be all things nerd having to do with fall television. We got new shows coming back. We got new shows just starting, and that's really what we're going to talk a lot about. And before we get into that, we're going to talk a little bit about the current Nerd Fight poll and where the results are at on that before we choose our new Nerd Fight at the end of the podcast. But before that, let's talk about what people are geeking out on. So let's introduce everybody to the cast. I want to say hi to Nancy in the chat room. She wasn't able to stay in the chat room. She's going to go check out Inhumans and let us know how that is, because we haven't gotten to really check that out yet. But you have me, Mess 5150. My co-host is back with us this week, Mr. Beacon. How's it going?
What up? My voice is still a little bit shaky, so I can't get a full good on what up, but good to see everybody. Or see you in the chat room at least.
We still don't have our player from yet.
Player.
That'll come at some point.
I'm growing my beard out though, so who's got the epic beard right now? Yeah.
I need to shave. I need him to come back so I can shave. It's getting itchy.
So. Just let it keep going. It'll soften out. It'll be all right.
Also, welcome to the show, Icy Zorro. We missed you last week.
What's going on, guys? I had a fun little birthday party with some people from work. Nice restaurant. Lots of booze. It was a good time.
That always equals to a good time. A lot of times. Welcome, Robert, in the chat room, and telling us to stop being hippies and shave. And welcome Beth in the chat room as well. Our female persuasion's also here, Mrs. Super Hoovian Freak. She's been super busy this week, I know.
Oh my goodness, it has been an insane week at work. That is no joke. No joke.
And I apologize.
It's Friday now, so I get to celebrate.
Miss Super Hoovian Freak, not Miss. And then joining us again, the sporadic that we get from him, because he's always out partying and doing stuff, so we can't get him on the cast too much. But he has some really he just had to get some thoughts out this week about a show in particular, not the Lakers, but a show in particular. Nudie Rudy is joining us on the cast. How's it going, Nudie?
Hey everybody, good to see y'all. What's cracking? Happy to be here. And as far as nerding out this week, I'd say Gotham is probably the biggest thing I was nerding out on. Binged almost the entire season on Saturday, loved it, and finished the season on Sunday. So it's good times, definitely.
So Nudie's one of those people that waits for Netflix to throw all their stuff up to be able to watch it, because
I love binging.
That's the way to watch things sometimes. It's just a binge.
Dude, I'll tell you what, there's certain shows that like I wouldn't be able to get through them unless it was for binging. So
for sure.
That is a true story.
I wish
comes to mind.
Yeah. I wish binging was available 10 years ago in terms of show watching, because I think that gives shows more of a pass to get another season or two out of them before they cancel them. So maybe we would have gotten more out of Firefly than one season had there been binging prevalent.
If it had been on the Netflix model, it would be in season 7 or 8.
Yeah. Oh, dude. Yeah. Which, great on one hand. On the other hand, we wouldn't have gotten Castle. So I'm like, because I did love Castle. So
yeah, that's true.
But on the other hand, who knows? I wouldn't have even missed it if I hadn't known it was there. So
yeah, or we may have gotten somebody else cast into it or something. But yeah, so Nudie Rudy's been geeking out, getting his geek on, his nerd on with Gotham. Icy Zorro said he's had tons of stuff that he's been nerding out on before the cast started. What have you been doing?
Too many things. Super Hoovian sent me on a new book path. I was asking for new things to read recently, and she sent me on the In Death series, which there's like friggin' 30 of them. It's Nora Roberts writing under a pseudonym, and it's just really good, slightly future set detective novels.
Okay.
And
yeah, got you into those, huh?
Oh yeah. Well, I love a good mystery novel, and these are 300-400 pages a piece, so they're not too hard to get through.
Very easy reads.
I've been rewatching Futurama from the beginning.
Yes.
Specifically because I started playing the Futurama mobile game.
Yes,
it is crazy good.
it is so good.
Yes.
Futurama: The Worlds of Tomorrow, and actually there was a double new Futurama episode, podcast only on Nerdist, and it was totally worth listening to. But that game is kind of ridiculous, and that led me into playing another new mobile game. I need to stop. I've got devices in front of me at all times now. But the new Final Fantasy mobile game it's
Which one?
I can't even remember what
The Brave. Are you talking Brave Exodus?
It's
No,
a.
it's
You're talking about the one that's
complex.
modeled like everything else, where you're making your
Yeah.
city and stuff. I
Yeah.
can't. It's just.
Once you get a little deeper into it, it's actually kind of worth playing. It's not exciting, but it's basically a city building thing.
But that's what's so great about the Futurama. Just to put 2 cents in right now, really quick. The Futurama game has so many different things added into it because you've got your world building where you're creating a city. You have the Futurama style of writing in there because every little thing that you have to do, they always have interaction between the characters, and you're listening to them talk.
It was actually written by Futurama writers and voiced by the original cast.
This last week, unfortunately for those that weren't part of the game this last week, you can't get this now. But this last week, you were able to get both Bill Nye and Stephen Hawking as characters. So I got both of those.
I already missed getting Neil deGrasse Tyson. I'm kind of mad about that.
Yeah, and Bill Nye, literally every time you click on him, he's like, "Admit it, I got you. It was me that got you through 5th grade." You know, so they have like little comments from them. But beyond that, you go into a map. You actually do these maps that you're doing missions on, and they're like Final Fantasy fights, where you have everybody fighting against. It's a phenomenal game. So
yeah, the actual fighting stuff is turn-based RPG style.
Is it Worlds of Tomorrow?
Worlds of Tomorrow.
Yes.
All right, downloading right now.
I literally got it like 3 weeks ago. And
be careful; it's a little too easy to spend money on it.
That is it is a microtransaction game, so that is one thing. But yeah, there it is.
It's downloading. It's downloading. Okay.
And it has Chris Hardwick on the opening screen. So,
Yay!
so I've been geeking out on that as well. So I'm glad somebody else brought that up. Beacon, what have you been geeking out on?
Dude, okay. I got news for everybody. So I finally finished Dance with Dragons.
Yay.
My God, is that a long book?
Yes.
It's a good book.
It was. No, it is not. It's.
I liked it.
Watch your tongue,
I
sir.
liked it.
Mhm.
Look, this is why I finally understand why fans were so pissed off, because it's like Jon Snow has been dead for 5 freaking years. Like, come on, dude. Like, write
6,
a book.
I think it's been a while.
6, yeah,
No,
6
I get
years.
it. I get it. I can get
It's
that.
crazy. It's crazy. The 5th book was so disjointed compared to the other 4 books. I think the first 3 were very well done. I still think he's a hack, but they were well done. 4th one was pretty good, but then you get into the 4th one, and in his epilogue, he's talking about how I've already written I wrote so much that I got to split it into 2 books, and then the 5th book,
It took 5 years
it's
after
BS.
the 4th one.
It's
No,
BS.
I bet
I can get
Jerk.
that, yeah, because it is weird when you've had 3 books that are linear and all the characters, and all of a sudden it's like, okay, we're gonna split the worlds up with because he didn't even
Yes.
announce that at all. It just came out, and you're reading it, and you're like, where the hell are the rest of the characters?
And then you're reading
You
the
get to the
5th
end.
book, and you got to think about like what happened in the 4th book because they're happening at the
In the
same
3rd,
time.
yeah.
It's just so stupid.
I think
So
at
So
this
it was
point,
weird.
I'm pretty sure that at this point, George Martin is sitting in front of an old MS-DOS computer with just a blinking cursor that right after the words chapter 1. It's been 6 years. He's probably
They'll still buy my book.
I want to welcome Marley.
You
Bond.
Johnny come latelys have no idea the kind of pain I have been experiencing
I started reading it
when
after
I started
second
reading at book 2. Exactly. Yes, thank you, sir.
So remembering that
I
I
have been feeling this anticipation for decades now.
I was gonna say I
Don't go there.
binge watched the books in a matter of like what has it been, like 3 months? I binge watched 5 books, and
I
6
don't know.
seasons.
Oh,
So the good stuff. I did start a new book, Devil in the White City, and it's fantastic. Those of you that are Timeless fans, you'll remember the episode where they go back in time to Chicago to 1893, and they're at the Chicago's World Fair. And at the same time, there's the H.H. Holmes World Fair Hotel, the murder hotel. So Devil in the White City tells the true historical story. It's by Eric Larson, and he's telling these two stories as they're kind of parallel to each other. The actual architects that were behind building the Chicago World Fair, and the story of H.H. Holmes and his World Fair Hotel. So it's freaking fascinating, all the history that's built into it. It's pretty damn good. I'm sorry, I'm going to keep going. One more. I started watching The Leftovers thanks to the Big Papa Matt. And that is one of those, like, it's a good... Rudy, what are you doing? Are you opening a package? Is that a bag of chips?
Sounded like Fritos or Doritos.
It's a bag of chips.
He doesn't want you to see.
Right?
There he is.
Like, yeah, see? You're making me hungry.
Not sponsored.
Not sponsored. I said chips. I said chips.
He held the bag up. I had to say.
Oh. Anyway, The Leftovers, and I'm actually glad that I'm able to binge that as well, because it's really kind of hard to get into at first, but now that I'm about 6 or 7 episodes into the first season, it's starting to get really good. So thank you, Big Papa Matt.
We got some stuff from the chat room as well. People, what they're doing. Jack has been watching American Ripper, the History Channel show on H.H. Holmes.
Nice.
Marley Ba. I missed some of what they were talking about. I know. Beth has been stepping into Supernatural and finally watching it. So,
I love that Beth just made a connection. So Beth just made a connection to the book I was just talking about. She said that same author wrote about the 1900 Galveston hurricane. So that's really cool. That's fascinating to me. And you can, by the way, I'm going to plug Audible because you guys know how much I love Audible.
I was going to get it, but now I'll let you get it.
So this book that I bought, it's a $26 book, but I actually got it for $15 because I pay the $15 a month. And it's over 13 hours of, somebody beautiful voice reading to you. So it's totally worth it. If you go through, it wasn't you, Icy Zorro, but it would have been awesome. You weren't available to read this book apparently. So, but it's through our site. If you go through our site, you get 2 free books. Normally on all the other ones I've seen, you only get 1. So if you go through ours, you get 2 free books to start you off. And then $15 a month gives you another book a month. Or there's other plans where you can get more books for less price. So,
and Marley also mentioned, and welcome Marley to the chat. But Devil in the White City was always a fun book. It's on our good book list.
Yeah.
And she said it was fun to go to the cemetery where a lot of these people were buried and go, oh, I remember him. So that's kind of cool that you can tie everything together on stuff. So, yeah.
Well, I'm just telling them in the chat there, I'm about to add that to my Audible wish list. So while you guys are chatting next, I'm going to go and.
Well, the next person that we need to get what she's besides the work that she's been busy doing, what she's been geeking out over is Super.
Well, I'm about to finish, speaking of, to piggyback off Icy Zora, I'm about to finish the newest of the In Death books, Secrets in Death. And it's pretty good. I can't wait for him to get to the part in the series, the Fantasy in Death, where it's a traditional locked door murder mystery. Guy dies, only it's the future, so he dies in a hollow room, and supposedly he was playing a hollow game, and he gets his head chopped off. But he's in a secure, locked room. Nobody went in or out. So how did he die? So I can't wait for him to get to that one. And it's just all nerd culture in that book. The cons, the, fantasy weapons, the movies. It was awesome. So that's what I've been reading. And I'm about to finish that book. And then I watched the Young Sheldon premiere. That was pretty cute.
We'll talk about that.
Exactly.
I wanted to say hi to Ken and bye to Ken because he popped in just to let us know that he can't stay, but he's looking forward to Punisher.
Oh, yes. Definitely.
So that is definitely one of our fall list of shows that we're actually very, very excited to see. So on the front of me geeking out, it's been playing those games. I finished because I went back to Madden finally, and I finished the long shot story. It was it's a cool little thing to do. You can get it done super quick. I just stretched it out. So, but saw Dan Marino on the screen, and the best part about it was, so they played the Legends game against these characters that are trying to get back into the NFL. And Chad Ochocinco is standing on the sidelines interviewing this guy. And as they're walking away, he's like, man, I wish I had a jersey. And then they go into the huddle and they're talking. And all of a sudden you see they look up and they got these big wide eyes. And he's like, you guys got spot for another? And it's Chad, so just seeing how badly, even in the video game world, he's trying to get back into football, and it's not working.
It's not working out so well.
So
That dude was crazy. He literally changed his last name to Ochocinco.
Mm-hmm. His whole name. It wasn't even Chad. Everybody just called him Chad Ochocinco. He changed his whole name to Ochocinco.
Seriously? That's even worse.
So, yeah. Well, they have a little argument because the quarterback's best friend is this wide receiver that's helping him there. And he's like, make sure that you throw it to me because it's not just you that we're trying to get into the NFL. And Ochocinco looks at him. He's like, well, you need to throw it to me because, I'm the one that people know the name of. And he's like, and the other guy's name is Cruz. So he's like, no, they'll know Cruise Missile. And Ochocinco's like, Cruise Missile.
So the writing is top notch then.
But it uses good actors. The guy that was the bad guy on Luke Cage plays the father of the
okay, Cottonmouth.
Yeah. So
he was a pretty good actor.
He's a really
good actor. He won an Oscar for last year for Moonlight. Yeah.
Moonlight.
So they use some good actors for it. So it is interesting what they did with it and stuff. And that's what I've been finishing up. But yeah, so that's what we've been geeking out on. Now to get to the forefront of why we're here, what's brought this channel about, and that is the website, MaliceCorp, malice-corp.com. That's where we put all of our articles up. And on there, we also put our nerd fights, which are the fights that we have amongst ourselves to pick what we think is the best of things on here on the podcast. And then we spend 2 weeks going on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook, whatever, whatnot, telling people that we come across to go vote for our votes and push a literal nerd fight of trying to win our thing. And where do we house that? We house that at malice-corp.com. So the current nerd fight going on is the best Bill Murray film. He was our nerd icon for the month of September. We're going into October. So a lot of great movies to choose from. Two have really come to the surface and kind of locked votes with each other. If you guys have not voted and you want to get your votes in, make sure that you click on the link in the description below. It'll take you to the actual article that Super Hoovian wrote up about the nerd fight, and you can go vote for your favorite on there. If you think that your favorite's not going to win, but needs a little bit more love, you can do that as well. You don't have to vote for one of the two that are duking it out. But we'll talk a little bit about the choices that we had. Let me jump in here. First and foremost, let's just go with who's up at the lead. I believe it's Ghostbusters right now.
Yep.
If we look. So Super Hoovian, your last ditch efforts on telling people why they should vote for Ghostbusters and keep it ahead.
Dude, if I have
cast
to
is over
explain,
and she chooses her next.
man, if I really have to explain why Ghostbusters is a great movie, everyone might need to turn in their nerd cards. It's just a fantastic. It's a feel-good movie. It makes me happy when I put it on. I don't think I've ever watched Ghostbusters and been mad or sad, And so yeah, it's just a great movie. It's one that I can watch all the time. Anytime I see it on, it's like I have to watch it. And
it's got Ron Jeremy fully clothed standing on the street. So.
Exactly. Yeah.
Ooh.
Had to throw a little bit of trivia in there.
It makes me want marshmallows, but
It does make me want
Because of Ron Jeremy.
The best line. I love that line so much.
The hairy hedgehog.
Well played.
Yeah. I love that scene so much. But I didn't think of anything. Clear mind. You did.
Rice Krispie treats taste different.
What did you do? What did you do? Oh
no.
Oh.
So great.
Thank you for watching the last MaliceCast ever.
the next one that was on the list. Let's go back through real quick. So Groundhog Day was following up with 23 votes right now. Scrooge has 12 votes. Stripes has 7. Life Aquatic has 6, and Lost in Translation has 3.
Refresh.
Okay, fine. I'll refresh. But since the one that's closest to Ghostbusters is Groundhog Day with now 24 votes. Mr. Zorro, you've got a total of 40 minutes till this cast is ended. Why should people go vote?
Well, one of the things that that Super said about Ghostbusters is also true for Groundhog's Day. Only it's not just one of the greatest nerd movies ever. It's one of the straight up greatest movies ever. It's a classic. It is one of those movies that was like, wow, this is a new idea, and they pulled it off flawlessly. It's quotable. It's got amazing performances from people that you otherwise don't really care that much about. Chris Elliott, Andy McDowell.
Hey, 4 weddings and a funeral, man.
Well, yeah. Okay. I'm just trying to go with Hugh Grant. You know?
Cabin.
So what's really cool is I actually had a groundhog moment today. So, and I don't want to give away too much because, I want to keep my job separate from my life, but my profession ends up being with younger people, right? And the calendar still said yesterday's date, and they noticed and they were like, why does it say September 28th? I was like, oh no, we're in a Groundhog Day. But two of them
tomorrow. There wasn't one today.
Two of them knew exactly what I was talking about. I was like, the world's in a good place.
Those 2 kids are being raised
The world
right.
is in a good place.
It also just spawned off a Tony-nominated play as well. So, I mean, that's saying something in itself.
No,
there have been a decent number of movies that have taken that premise and run with it in variations.
Nobody pays attention to plays at all.
Very true.
Nobody's ever heard of the play Hamilton. Plays are nothing.
Future generations. We love plays.
I've only listened to that soundtrack like 5 times this week. So, not at all.
My sister-in-law, who's all of 14, has probably listened to that soundtrack at least 60 times this week. So,
it's phenomenal soundtrack. It's a phenomenal soundtrack. Yes, and we see the shirt.
It's the shirt that I didn't want to break the bank buying that one. He gave me the website of where I can go and buy it later. I got the hat.
That's the hoodie, baby. No, the hoodie did break the bank.
That's why I didn't buy it when I was seeing the play. So,
immigrants, we get the job done, son.
Yes. Beacon, you're the only one that has a nerd in this fight with Life Aquatic. Did you want to say anything?
7 votes now,
some more votes.
7 votes. I don't care. I'm not going to win. So I don't care if you vote for it or not. What I care is go watch the movie. Watch the movie for yourself and watch it with an open mind, really looking at the character that Bill Murray plays, and just relish in the genius that is Bill Murray. That's all I ask that you do. Don't vote for it. Go vote for Ghostbusters or go vote for Groundhog Day. I would prefer Groundhog Day. It's my favorite out of this list. Other than I had to pick something different, and I wanted to pick something that I enjoy watching. So,
and if you guys don't want to see the same person win over and over and over again, vote Groundhog Day.
Yeah. Otherwise,
it's kind of like the article. It's fine.
Otherwise, it's kind of like we're in a Groundhog Day,
Aren't we?
Weird.
Y'all must be sick of these articles for me by now.
Maybe
we're going to talk about what the next nerd fight is. Right. We're going to talk about the next nerd fight at the end of the podcast when we check in and see what the votes are for picks, because we are going to be doing the next nerd fight is going to be the best new fall TV show after we talk about all these wonderful fall TV shows that have come out and not so wonderful fall TV shows that come out. So let's get right into that. let's talk about what's come out so far. I mean, I think the one that we've all had a kind of a crush on so far that we've seen, and I'd like to hear some pros and cons on this, is Star Trek Discovery has been amazing for the
really
2
is.
hours that we've gotten out of it. And trust data. Not- very nice shirt. But IC Zora was the first one of us to actually check it out and tell us about it. I want to know what your thoughts are on it, because you did have one peculiar thing about how the Klingons look, but
yeah. Well, and I wonder the prosthetics and the effects on the Klingons, the way that they look. This is not Worf that we're used to. This is not where all the Klingons looked exactly the same like we saw in Next Generation or other iterations. They're very distinctive and much. I got to wonder, since this is produced by Eugene Roddenberry, that I got to wonder if it's what the original Gene's vision was closer to, and they just didn't have the technology, the prosthetics back then. Regardless of makeup stuff, this show is kick ass. It's really good. The opening was fantastic. Sonequa Martin Green is killing it. I don't know how much I can say about the end of the second episode, because there's some fairly significant stuff that goes on. But I got to wonder how that's going to carry over into the rest of it, because from the preview of the rest of the season, we do see some things that have some continuity. There's the one guy, the main alien type, I don't know, science officer or whatever. Did he remind anybody else of Abe from Hellboy?
It's the same actor.
Is it?
Yes.
Called it. All right.
And
That would be
that's
The
fantastic.
only reason you wouldn't think it's the same actor is in the first Hellboy, he was not using his own voice. It was David Hyde Pierce that was using the voice, and then they let him use his own voice in Hellboy 2.
Yeah, because I was just driving in my car and I was like, man,
And
that character was really like Abe.
He's very, very tied in with Guillermo. He's also the Thin Man in with the fingers and the So
and it's a new species that they've brought into Discovery. That is right. It's a species that was bred for, like, basically bred to be cowards, and out of that breeding, they can actually sense death. And so
he's a coward. He's a coward. That's what he shows in the first episode.
But he senses death, and so that gives him a lot of insight into kind of
when it's time to run.
I've also been a huge fan of the period that the show is set in, because you can see they're using the old style, phasers. The opening sequence is a beautiful, Da Vinci and how things come together and break apart. And this is a much more militaristic show than any Star Trek that we've seen. It's during a period of war, before TNG, before the original series. And I saw earlier, like right towards the beginning of the chat conversation, where Nancy was talking about how it just seemed much different than the Star Trek she grew up on. It's a much different show. This is before they got to the relative peace and calm that the Foundation brings to the galaxy.
It takes place roughly 10 years prior to the original Shatner Star Trek. So 10 years prior to that. Yes, and it really is covering.
I thought it was more than that.
No, it's approximately a decade prior to the very beginning of Star Trek, and it's covering the entire Cold War between the Klingons and the Federation. So
leading up to Worf being drafted, or no, because that would still be
that's next years. Years after. So this is just leading up into what we really get into with the traditional Star Trek.
I was at the 50th anniversary of the Star Trek panel at San Diego Comic-Con, where they first introduced us to even a smidgen of Discovery. Like, they had just announced that the title was going to be called Discovery. We weren't seeing and they showed us what the ship was going to look like. That's it. There was nothing else. But Brian Fuller was there talking for a good 50 minutes, because he was moderating as well. And he very much wants to bring this back to the appeal of what Roddenberry's thought process was in terms of Star Trek. And I had this conversation with Nudie Rudy a little bit earlier today, but it's Star Trek has been flowing towards that, trying to mix in with the Star Wars type of stuff for the reboots and things like that. And while it has worked great financially, it takes away from the whole idea of the universe and the show and stuff. And I can see that universe is trying to be there. They are talking about the Federation doesn't shoot first and stuff like that in the first episode, and they're trying to tie back into that old style that the original series came about because of stuff that was going on in the world that was hanky and weird and things like that, and that's where Gene got those ideas. So the fact that Brian Fuller wants to bring it back into that, I can see that fully. Have you watched the episode at all, Nudie?
No, I wish I had. I haven't had a chance. I've been binging other things, but yeah, and I don't have broadcast TV myself right now. But as far as the movies versus TV show thing you brought up, Wes, I do have something there I'd like to say, though, that to me, honestly, the movies have always been kind of, throwaway. They've never really been much. I mean, I've enjoyed them, but not, from the original movies all the way through the new reboots. Just it's always been about the TV shows and the TV series. And I grew up with The Next Generation, loving it. That's my favorite TV franchise there is existing, and it's an amazing show. And that's why I am excited for Discovery, because of all the things you guys said, and the fact that, they're going back to that original feel, the original format, the thing that Star Trek does best.
One thing that I love about Discovery, and I just watched it today, so I watched both episodes back to back. I love the pace of the show. It's not slow at all. I mean, it's action packed. It's fast moving.
Yeah, it keeps you.
And it keeps you on the edge. Like, I was on the edge of my seat watching this entire show. Like,
you're gonna pay for the whole seat, but you're only gonna need the edge.
Yeah, like, this is fantastic. And the casting so far has been wonderful. And just the overall, the cinematography and everything, the effects, everything that's been put into it is, I mean, it's phenomenal in my opinion. And I'm not a huge Star Trek fan. I mean, I watched the original, I watched Next Generation, of course, and Deep Space Nine, all that. But I'm loving it. I'm loving it.
I totally agree with what you said about the pacing and on the edge of your seat. Of all the new shows that we're going to talk about tonight, and I've watched most of them, this was the main one where I was like, oh man, I got to get to the next episode.
Yeah.
It was good. It left me wanting more. I'm looking forward to this season. Absolutely
agree with that.
We need to look up something that came up with the chat room and makes a really, really good point from Jack. Is the reason the Klingons look different because it takes place before the human DNA plague infects the Klingons. So that could absolutely make sense, because remember the way that they explain that in the Troubles with Tribble episode, where they go back in time with Deep Space Nine, and they're like, why do the Klingons look so different? It was that they altered their looks to blend in more and stuff like that. So I'm wondering if that's part of why they look so different. I mean, he brings up a really good point there, so we need to check into that.
That's interesting too. Yeah, very interesting.
Yeah,
and yeah, I think it takes place more like 30. I thought it was more like 30 years prior or something.
Everything I'm reading says 10 years.
It says 10 years still. Okay.
Well, at one point they did say the year.
Well,
it was somewhere around 2250-ish, and I thought that Next Generation was 24th century, which is supposed to take place 60, maybe less years after original. I don't know. So somebody will figure it out and let us know, I'm sure.
And he brings up the Klingon augmentation virus was a modified form of Lavodian flu that threatened to wipe out the Klingon race in the mid-22nd century. It was inadvertently created by Klingon researchers who were attempting to bioengineer enhanced warriors using DNA from genetically modified human embryos left over from Earth's eugenic wars. That is the canon. So, guys, you come to the chat to see some people nerd out about things, and you get some Star Trek history and canon written into the chat room. So definitely come in and chat with us on this stuff and let us know what you think about these shows and everything. So, I mean, go ahead.
One more thing about it is I'm not going to hopefully I'm not going to give anything away, but the main character in the show is the first command. So number one, right? So you think of I think of William Riker, but number one. And one of the fun facts is when they were originally talking about the show, they wanted to call it number one. That was actually one of the original names they had thought of. And it focuses, instead of traditional Star Trek focusing on the captain and the captain's point of view, you're really seeing it from that first in command point of view. So you're seeing it from a subordinate
Yeah.
And you're seeing that relationship between the subordinate and the captain, as well as the captain in it, and then those under her command. So it's just a cool, different perspective too to see than what we're traditionally used to.
And as I said, so Nico
And it's women in command, and they're both awesome. They're both amazing. Yeah.
Well, without giving, it's not giving stuff away. The show is about the Star Trek Discovery. That's the ship.
Which we don't start on.
Which we don't start on. The captain of that ship we haven't even seen yet, and he is an amazing actor. So once we get in, Jason Isaacs is a fantastic actor, and you don't even see him for the first 2 hours.
Yep.
So
it's weird when you get these crazy, talented, old world English and British actors like, I don't know, Liam Neeson.
Yeah. Yeah. So first 2 episodes of the epilogue, that's really setting you up for what is going to be the series.
Prologue,
Discovery.
Yeah. So let's get into the other
prologue.
Let's get into the other show because I know one of these people that's on this cast has to get out a little bit sooner than others because he's got things going on. But there's another show that's had some hate and some love that aired a few weeks ago. It's on its 4th episode now. And there's some definite love coming from Nudie Rudy. I want to hear his case on this, but Seth MacFarlane released the show Orville, which to the masses shown to us by Fox, it was a Galaxy Quest ripoff type of thing. But we've got some different opinions on that from Mr. Nudie Rudy. So Nudie, tell me about Orville, what you're thinking and why you think people should be watching it and checking it out.
Well, I mean, Orville really speaks to me personally, and I totally get what you said, Wes. I messed about the parody angle because it was sold as a parody, and the parody is there, the comedy is there. But to me, from the very first episode, like I saw the heart of the show was really what was shining through and was the thing that caught me. It really is a heartwarming ode, a love letter to fans like myself that really appreciate the Star Trek universe. And I really think there is a divide in the nerddom between Star Wars and Star Trek. And some people really have a deep appreciation for Star Trek, and some people have deep appreciation for Star Wars. And we've talked, personally, I think there's some psychological, sociological things you can read about people based on which camp they fall in and how far on the spectrum they are. And I'm serious about that. I think about Supes and Batman too, just by the way, very similar thing.
Totally
agree. You prefer that there's a psychological divide there. But honestly, like Orville, it is a comedy. It is funny, and I appreciate the jokes, but the jokes really are there to serve the narrative. The show has way, way more heart than I expected it to, and I love it. It is way more sincere than I think anyone gives it credit for. Give it time, watch it. It's the sincerity that shines through.
It's an actual, in the first 4 episodes, they've already dealt with race and gender politics and the religion and extremism a bit. The show has been amazing.
Very much so. Yeah, and the same kinds of things that Star Trek, the original series, did and was groundbreaking in the 60s at a time of a lot of tumult and things. And I'm not going to give Orville that same kind of impact, but I'm just saying the fact they're tackling those things right out of the gate, I really respect and appreciate that.
And you really have to get past the pilot, because the pilot was there to introduce the characters and to sell it as, hey, from the mind of Seth MacFarlane. So it was a little bit Family Guy in space. It was a little over the top, and I get why people don't like it because of that. I even get that some of the Seth MacFarlane style stuff, jokes that go on too long, is in there. But it's usually for a purpose, and I totally agree with you, Rudy. Now, Beacon.
Do we need? Yes.
Let's talk about the facts now. So, first episode, 8.558 million views. Second episode, 6.631. Third episode, 4 million. Fourth episode, 3.69. This thing's tanking. I doubt it even lasts a full season.
It probably
lasts a full season because it's a freaking garbage, big old huge pile of garbage. And I will give you this. It does get better as it goes on, but the reason it gets better as it goes on is because you actually get to see the other actors in the show who really are good, and they make the show better. But if I have to see Seth MacFarlane's stupid face anymore or hear his stupid dad jokes or Family Guy jokes, like I'm not going to get any further watching the show. Like I can't stand him anymore. It's the same crap over and over that we saw in Ted 1, Ted 2, Family Guy, American Dad. Every single thing he's ever done, it's the same thing, different setting. And that's what I get out of this. But
yeah,
go ahead.
I can't get past the pilot. I got 10 minutes in, and I'm just like, Seth MacFarlane does not speak to me. He doesn't.
The pilot is so bad.
Okay, I might just skip the pilot and just go straight into it because I try. I mean, some of his stuff is funny, and it's funny for 10 minutes, and then I'm just like, dude, move on. If
you were to start at episode 3 without even the lead into episode 3, that is a straight up gender identity issue.
But the first 10 minutes of episode 3 is garbage too.
Yes, it's that
jokes and stuff like that.
It's that parents joke. But if you have a hard time, I do want to bring this up. If you have a hard time getting through this, something that always helps is if you're in the San Diego area, Battle Mage Brewing Company has fantastic stuff that will help you get through anything that you feel is a little hard to watch and stuff, because they have fantastic brews,
hard to swallow,
and tasters to drink and help the pain go down.
But yeah,
so I need to drive to Oregon to get through it. Okay, that's how bad it is.
But
go
ahead, Superman.
I was just gonna say, I think I can see where Nudie's coming from, because I have heard that it does get better, and I like the other actors. It's just Seth that I have an issue with, and
totally.
It's anything. I mean, he took one of my beloved. What was it that he hosted? The Golden Globes or the Oscars?
Oscars.
Yeah, the Oscars, and he nearly ruined it for me. And I'm just like, dude, he did, and it was funny for 30 seconds. And I'm like, but dude, there's other things in the world that's funny. We know that you can make these jokes. You've made a career making these jokes. What else can you do?
You realize that Fox gave him a $200 million contract, so they're kind of they're required to put on what he makes.
I think that's the problem. Is he's lambasted into these jokes, so I think that's why we're getting these. I think that's why we're still getting the Family Guy stuff.
Well,
but
it's what
I would tell anybody that wants to give it a chance. If anybody wants to give it a chance, because I was the one that I was there with Beacon going, this is horrendous, this is horrible, this is trash, this is terrible. There's still things that at times I go, this is horrible, this is trash. The parents joke in episode 3, I think it was too long. I understand the reasoning behind it, but it was catering off the Jewish parents that talk about stuff they're not supposed to talk about.
Yeah, but even the I'm not going to yoke with you anymore, and you're just like, oh my gosh, it's a groaner.
It takes it longer than it has to, and that's what he's always done as Nudie Rudy has brought up. Yeah. He's always pushed it farther. The knee joke.
That's part of the genius of his jokes, though. You just don't see it. No, because it goes from funny to not funny to the point of being absolutely ludicrous, so that it's surreal, which goes back to being funny. You guys don't
what ends up happening is because
there's a plateau and a rise.
Well, here's the thing.
You get stuck in the valley.
Let's take the normal average person. So because of that, when you stretch something far too long, hoping that it comes back to funny, what happens is more people turn that channel, and that's where your ratings drop.
Yeah,
he needs to learn that timing is a specific thing for the average person. Otherwise, he's going to lose the chances at great shows.
That is a particular technique that he perfected in Family Guy that a lot of people really appreciate. That is the essence of the humor in Family Guy. No, I'm not saying it isn't. And honestly, that particular joke. No, but that particular joke did serve the plot, which is what Mess is referring to earlier. Is the whole fact of that joke is that the point of that is that these people's technology was so advanced that they could simulate that interaction with him and his parents in some way that it was so genuine and so true that made him feel uncomfortable that they would talk about his hemorrhoids and all those things.
Which I understand.
Convinced him that it was real, that he'd just walk right onto that ship and into that trap. It served the length of it and the ludicrousness of it served the plot.
I understand, but the factor is you don't have to take it that. You only have 40 minutes to work with. You don't spend 10 minutes of it on that one specific thing. That's
what he does.
It's his filler. It's
gonna cause him to lose the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Conway Twitty.
Oh God!
It's
So I've been-
Tell you. Right?
I'm working on an analogy in my head, trying to figure out the Star Trek parallels versus Batman parallels. Where say Discovery is Nolan's Batman. This would be roughly equivalent to the Adam West Batman, and it's not. Which is not to say it's Star Trek universe, but it's definitely in that genre. And I think it's just a lighter. It's a lighter, easygoing. Still got some morals to it, but kind of campy. And I don't know. As Rudy said in his original description, I love the heart. I love the heart of the show. It's great.
It's gotten a lot better. If people are going to check it out, please watch from episode 3 on.
Okay.
That's the way to do it.
Would it help if we were floating on a cloud, so to speak, when we watch this show? Would it help?
I don't think it would hurt.
It certainly would
help
be
me
better than watching sober.
You know?
So,
Yeah.
which I've been doing.
Because you got to remember, and you brought it up in the chat room, Beacon, that you don't think Seth can do anything new.
I don't think he can.
But you got to remember
him try,
the remake.
Try.
Extremely talented.
You got to remember the remake with Neil deGrasse Tyson of the Science that was put on by Seth.
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you, I know
Cosmos.
he's a very talented person, but
he can do more. He just needs to get out of that bubble, and that's the problem. I think because everything is
Orville is more. Give it time.
It is.
Let it breathe.
It is,
Orville
but I think because it's labeled created by Seth MacFarlane, because it's Fox, he has to bring that Family Guy-esque things there, because that's what Fox is like. Hey, this is what sells our shows.
Well, that's just what his style is too.
Yeah.
He writes in a certain way.
Now,
That's
the
fine.
other thing is, how old was the original pilot? Because if the original pilot was done 5 years ago, maybe that's why we're seeing such a big difference between episodes 3, 4, and stuff.
Should have just paid to refilm the first episode and not even.
No. They may have refilmed it, but if he pitched this 5-6 years ago when he was in the heyday of those type of jokes,
that's very true.
that might be why that pilot is so heavily that way versus the others. So I'm trying to give a little bit of back and forth.
But the numbers don't lie. The numbers don't lie. Ever since the pilot, the numbers have cut.
That is pretty
more than
standard. That's
55%.
pretty standard for shows that aren't going to be smash hits, though.
Yeah. Well,
That doesn't mean it's not going to survive.
No, absolutely. So let's get into
today's streaming.
Let's get into something that Super's watched. So she hasn't been able to get with everybody else on this. But
well, no, I did. Like I said, I did watch the pilot. I just hadn't finished because I couldn't get past. But I did watch Young Sheldon.
That's what we were going to talk about.
Pilot.
So Big Bang Theory has decided to have its first spinoff, and that is going to be going back in time to watching Sheldon Cooper grow up in Texas. And yeah, so what were your thoughts on it, Super?
First off, that kid is going to have a career. That kid is a solid actor. He plays the mannerisms of the older Sheldon. I don't know how much he must have studied. I mean, he has the speech pattern down. He's got the train obsession down. The germaphobe thing, with the mittens on the hand and the holding his hands at the dinner table. So he's really got that character down. I adore the relationship he has with the mother. I love whoever that actress is. I don't know the actress playing his mom. I think she's phenomenal so far. I mean, it's the
daughter of Laurie Metcalf, which plays his mom in Big Bang Theory. That's why she's
casting there.
That's why she looks so much like her and acts like her.
I love, the way that she handles him, yes, we're going to give in, but at the same time, you've got the bartering system down already. Okay, if you do this, if you ditch this bow tie, I'm going to take you to Radio Shack. And I love the joke at the end of the episode. And he's like, I love that Radio Shack. It's going to be here forever. I can depend on it, as they walk in. And I'm like, oh, it's not. Because they filed for bankruptcy, I think, right?
Yeah, no, they've been bankrupt for a while.
They went out of
there was Radio Shack,
I thought that
and it was the Shack, and then it was back to Radio Shack, and then
there's only, I believe, one Radio Shack in business now, which is also a Blockbuster, which is also a 7-Eleven, and it's up in Alaska.
Ooh, 7-Eleven's still around.
It's the little. I know, but
Yeah.
this is a store that's literally a Radio Shack, a Blockbuster, and a 7. It's like
Oh,
it's
that's
the main.
fantastic.
It's the main
Wow.
That is
store.
awesome.
It's in a little
So-
tiny town in
So
Alaska.
you're saying I should not have thrown away my Blockbuster card?
Because I could get a slushie, rent
And
a
welcome Jay Lee to the channel as well. So let us
So,
know
but
what
I
you
think-
thought about Star Trek Discovery and
Orville.
Orville. If you watched it, Jay Lee, we want to get your thoughts on it. We're now talking about
I
young Sheldon. Go ahead.
I only have one quick thing to say about young Sheldon. This show is the Wonder Years with a little bit
is.
less heart and with
so far.
characters from Big Bang. So far.
So far.
Best thing about
I
it so
think the
far.
heart will come. I think the heart will come.
But
They're-
yeah, it's not as bad as I was expecting it to be.
That's what I can give it. It's not as bad as I was expecting. It does make me a little sad that to see Jon Favreau attached as the director of the first episode, because I always like so much more from Favreau, and
Yeah.
the guy's an amazing director. And this is
It's a lot to pack in a pilot, though. You have such high expectations, and the Sheldon voiceovers were great. I mean, I hope that continues.
yeah, but when you
Yeah,
you
Jim-
take
Jim Parsons doing the narrating is like gold, dude.
It's great.
It's gold.
but
It's
you
what
take
makes that connection to me.
you take young Sheldon, and here's it says directed Jon Favreau. Then you take the Jungle Book, the most recent Jungle Book, Iron Man, Swingers. I mean, the guy makes amazing films, and it just I was expecting even more out of young Sheldon when I saw that he was directing it.
It was good.
So,
It was
It'll
a good pilot.
come.
Yeah.
It was a way better pilot than Orville.
But I just some of the lines that that stuck with me when it's like, okay, I don't, Sheldon in the Big Bang Theory is well known for not believing in Christianity, well known for being agnostic and believing in evolution, but he goes to church because he has that faith in his mother,
Mhm.
and we don't get that from the Big Bang Theory. Somewhere along that way, he lost that.
Oh, we do.
We get it a little bit. I mean, he's a mama's boy. We knew he was a mama's boy, but the whole why he went to church with her, it's not because he had the faith in God, it's because he had the faith in his mother, and that was really sweet.
Yeah, yeah. And the other thing too is like at the very end when his dad, the pilot, when his dad's, I only watched the pilot, so I'll confess. But when his dad's telling him about like how he lost his job at the previous thing, and then he like takes off the glove and holds his dad's hand, like
Yeah.
super touching little moments, dude. And then you get the comedy of the like, I didn't touch my brother's hand for another 17 years.
And that
Yeah.
was the day that I touched my yeah, it was the straight
Yeah.
Wonder Years right there with the
Yeah.
voice.
this is the thing that I'm fearful we're going to get with this as well. And if it lasts beyond one season, because I think this is something that people will get tired of as well. But are we going to get a lot of these throwback jokes? Because that's exactly what the Radio Shack joke was, because it was a throwback to another Big Bang Theory episode, the Big Bang Theory episode where they went back in time in there and showed how they met and stuff. He's talking about watching Firefly and how Firefly is going to be on forever, and now it's
Yeah, yeah.
hey, I love the
That was
Radio
funny,
Shack. Radio
dude.
Shack's going to be here forever. It's using the same jokes as a throwback to go,
If
hey,
it's just-
you guys remember when we said it here on Big Bang Theory? Look, we're saying it here now.
it's
If it's just one
continuity,
or
though.
two, it's continuity, yeah. I
Yeah.
think it just sticks with Sheldon's character. If he thinks it's good, he thinks there's no way it's going to fail. So he can't even fathom the fact that these things fail, because that's his character. I mean, he loves what he loves, and bless America if you don't love it, he just can't even fathom it. And
Well-
I think that's very true to his character. They're reestablishing it.
Once again, most shows you got to get past the pilot and see what happens after that.
Absolutely.
So,
Which I
um,
don't think the second episode's actually aired, because the pilot just aired this week. So
Mhm.
it'll be coming. It'll be coming like a
So-
choo-choo
So
train.
I'm not behind. Okay.
Sheldon.
No, so
No.
we've got it's better than we expected is what we're getting out of it right now.
Yes.
I have to throw in a show. I know nobody else watched it, but I got to throw in a show that I was out within 7 minutes and I still watched the entire thing. And that's The Brave. So the Brave is basically Law and Order, but from the Afghanistan to the war room side of things, instead of being from the cops to the courtroom. So you have what's going on with the mission in the war room, and you have what's going on with the soldiers over there. And the cliche that was in this is So we get a line from one of the characters who is a Muslim soldier, and he's talking to another character that's also, she's Middle Eastern descent, and he's like, "Were you raised Muslim?" And she's like, "I was raised a New Yorker." And I'm like, "I'm out." There. So I'm like, these moments, and you have Anne Heche as the actress that's running the war room, so that put it out too. So, but yeah, I had to get in a show that isn't going to last in there. So that's one that's
I haven't even heard of that.
It's going to go by the wayside real fast. It's an NBC show, so
that explains it.
NBC doesn't keep anything good, so well.
They're trying to cash in on every. Yeah. So, I mean, you can see that it's trying. It uses a Fallout Boy song when all the soldiers are getting together. So they're doing Immortals, and it's bad. It's tripe. But we did have a request from in the chat room to talk about The Good Doctor, and if you guys have any ideas about that, or if you guys have watched that at all, or anything like that. Has anybody checked it out besides me?
I watched it today.
I see. Okay, what were your thoughts on it?
Well, second show this season that focuses around somebody on the autism spectrum. Third, if you count the Atypical on Netflix. Strange theme in new shows lately. I don't know, because I want to have it be, a house-like show, but I don't like any of the characters except for the main kid. And it started right off with Grey's Anatomy style romance drama, and here's the arrogant surgeon, and here's the mentor, and here's the disbelieving board. And I was like, okay, I've seen this show 19 times before. I don't know that they can bring it together.
Which I think Freddie Highmore, like you said, does actually a really good job as the main character. Absolutely. I love the visual aspects you see when his mind is actually putting everything together and stuff. I mean, that's awesome to it. Beyond when you're saying not the great, I do the actor that's playing the guy that's bringing that runs the hospital, that's bringing him in.
Yeah, Toby from West Wing. Yeah.
I'm sorry, Richard, he's a fantastic actor.
Love that guy.
Yeah, he's a fantastic actor. So I love that he's part of the show as well. Did you say you watched it, Beacon?
No, but I just want to say real quick, just say a goodbye to our editor-in-chief. I think he has to run to a concert. Yeah. I'm going to give him a moment to say goodbye and run off.
He's going to tell us all that Orville's the greatest show ever, and that we watch it, and that we're all wrong, and then he's going to run away before we can argue. No, go ahead.
I wouldn't say the greatest show ever, but give it some time. Let it breathe, for sure. I'm telling you.
Like a good wine.
So we should let it breathe like some old underwear. Let it breathe.
At least give it the sniff test.
And we're learning about Super Movie tonight.
What he's saying is Orville looks like it could be a wine in a box. But
hey, the vintner, the sommelier over here knows what he's talking about. He knows a good vintage when he sniffs it out.
That I do.
Good night, everybody.
We are already saying this. Nudie Rudy has already laid claim to Orville as the best new TV show for the New York fight coming up. So that will be his fight. So
uncontested.
Follow him on Twitter at Nudie Rudy on Twitter, and you can go get mad at him if you hate the show and he made you watch it, or you can go tell him that he's right.
Mess, what did you think about Good Doctor? We should get back on that.
Nudie Rudy on Instagram, and follow the official Malice Corp Instagram as well, everyone. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
There we go.
Have a good night, Nudie.
Get after it.
Okay. Thank you for coming in. So Good Doctor. Like I said, I liked Freddie Highmore in the role very much. Didn't realize that this is this show was already created in it was an Asian show. And this is a remake of it. So I thought that was very interesting. So if you go and type in Good Doctor on Google, you see a bunch of stuff for the Asian show, the original Asian version. So so they have something to build off of. The only downfalls that I had with it was the completely unrealistic aspect of the scenarios going on. So the whole beginning episode opens up with an accident happening at a airport, and he's going and taking care of this kid and stuff like that, and he needs a knife to take care of this kid. This kid is surrounded by about 50 people watching him. He's been down on the ground for at least 15 to 20 minutes. And he runs over to security and tells him, I need a knife. And security's like, we're not going to give you a knife. And he goes through this whole thing and he snags a knife and runs away and they tackle him. And then the mom come over and she's like, no, he's saving my son. If it was in this scenario, one, they would already know that the situation's going on. There wouldn't be any of this tackling the guy and stuff. They know what was going on and why to get him a knife. There'd be ambulances on their way already. Yeah, it's completely unrealistic to try and Well, no, I'll deal with unrealism at times, but this is like so unrealistic that to just push a storyline that I get behind that. But beyond that, Freddie Highmore, I think, is doing a very, very good job in the role. And I really want to see where it goes with that. I think it'll be one of the shows that will get extended beyond this season because it just has that type of storytelling that people you like.
I hope so. It's just, again, got to get past the pilot. This one I thought did a fairly decent job of introducing the characters and the style of the show without being too obvious, without too much exposition. But I don't know, man. I just don't know that I'm comfortable with the show in general.
We'll find out. We'll find out what happens with it. I mean, there was a lot of just trying, hey, let's introduce all these characters part of the hospital, which once you start getting a dynamic to them and relationships between them and stuff, it might flesh things out a little bit better and stuff. So, but that's pretty much the shows we're talking about for tonight. As we head out tonight, we're going to talk about the nerd fight and what we want to pick when we look at where we're at on the current results. But the one last show that I want to tell people to check out that probably won't make it past this season because it's going to be a really hard concept to keep up with is Me, Myself, and I. It's got Bobby Moynihan and John Larroquette in it, and it's telling the story of this guy from his adolescence to his midlife to being older, retirement age, and Moynihan plays him in midlife. Larroquette plays him in the older age, and it's actually a really funny show. It's going to be really hard to keep the concept going because as everybody gets older, you're going to eventually start going into each other's age ranges and stuff. And so,
not unless the show runs for 30 years.
Yeah, I guess. If Moynihan starts getting some gray hair, so
there was.
I just don't see Moynihan transitioning into Larroquette.
Yeah.
And I know people are excited for American Horror Story. They're talking about it in the chat room. I
haven't. Have you seen it at all? I haven't watched the.
Not this current season.
No. I've never seen it.
I haven't watched it.
You should.
Beth is excited
really
for
good.
The Gifted. We're all excited for The Gifted, I think.
Yeah, and it starts on Monday, so
yeah,
it's coming up.
This is the big thing with this MaliceCast is this is the setup for what's coming, and that's going to be your MaliceCast TV talks are coming back as CW shows come up, and as new shows that we start falling in love with come up, and this is where we would love you guys to come in and join us on those chats, talk about the shows that we love. So
yes, Jack Malice, Flash
is coming back.
Flash and Arrow. Gotham came back 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
On Thursdays now. And it's fantastic.
We'll have a Supernatural cast with Super Hoovian and IC Zorro. We will have either a per show basis or an entire CW lineup with Jack Malice and Beacon and other celebrity guests as they pop in and out from the Malice Corp channel.
Man, that means I'm going to have to start watching Supergirl.
No, dude. You don't have to.
Supergirl.
They always keep Supergirl somewhat separate from the crossovers, so you can get away with not watching that.
And for the first time, I've heard from Jaylee in the chat room.
You can and should.
For the first time from Jaylee in the chat room, I've heard Exorcist Season 2 is coming back, and I'm so excited. So it's the first time I've heard somebody say they're excited about Season 2 of Exorcist. I didn't see the first
I'm
one.
not going to lie.
I'll have to check that out for you, Jaylee.
I'm not going to lie. I totally forgot they made a Season 1. So.
Yeah, well, remember, they were doing Lethal Weapon and Exorcist. They were doing every movie that was made before.
I did remember the Lethal Weapon one, which did a lot better than the Rush Hour one, which was terrible.
Oh, dude, the Lethal Weapon show is pretty funny, actually.
I've heard it's actually
Yeah.
really good. But
I've
yeah.
heard it's really good.
It's
So
pretty
our
funny.
votes mixed up a little bit, but they stayed the same that they stayed. Ghostbusters won this last 2 weeks. Groundhog's Day, number 2 with 24 votes. Scrooge moved up to 13 votes. Life Aquatic stayed at 7. Stripes stayed at 7. And Lost in Translation down to 3. So with the first pick of the best new TV show Nerd Fight poll,
With all
So
your experience of the
what I have
shows,
fall 2017.
Yeah. So we can pick one we're excited about.
You can pick one you're excited about.
'Cause I'm
not something
probably-
returning. No supernatural.
No. I'm probably as far as the new shows go. I'm actually most excited for The Gifted. It's got a great cast. It's got Amy Acker, who I love, one of my favorite actresses of all time on television. It's got the guy from Bird Notice, whose actor name I can't remember, but he played the big super buff guy whose name I can't remember on Bird Notice either. It's just been so long since I watched the show. I want to say Jesse was his name on Bird Notice. Jesse.
oh yeah.
Yeah, so it's got him in it, and I like him as an actor. He's fun. I want it to be as good as Heroes was. I have high hopes for it to be as good as season 1 of Heroes and
Yes,
Okay.
season 1
stay
appearance up until the
good.
last
Stay
episode.
good.
Yeah.
Please, Lord, because I miss Heroes. I miss that quality. So please, for the love of God, give me that quality, please.
So Sarah's taking The Gifted, and hopefully it's not a flop in the first episode. Because it'll be like, but somebody that's not usually up at this level, getting to pick.
Thanks for pointing that out.
Oh, dang. Burn.
I see Zorro.
Absolutely. I'm going to stay up at this level because I'm going with Star Trek Discovery.
You
It is
jerk.
Yeah,
absolutely
I
my
know.
favorite. I know. I'm sorry. I saw the I don't know if you saw the mean mug I was giving the camera when Super was picking. I was like, don't say it. Don't say it. It is, as I said earlier, this was the only show of all the new shows where as soon as it ended, I was like, I want more of that right now.
Yeah, it's such a good show. I would agree with you on that one. So, Beacon.
I have no idea. What are my options that are left? Because
Sorry,
Watched everything else. So.
that's what I'm going to be voting for.
We know Orville's taken. So.
Well, I'm not picking that load of crap anyway, dude. I should pick it just so it loses because I've been on a losing streak lately.
You got Inhumans. You've got
Nope, that's I'm gonna watch it later, either tonight or tomorrow. But the ratings are and the reviews so far for Inhumans are not good.
you got Good Doctor. You've got Me, Myself, and I. You've got
What?
One of
What?
those.
To defend your pick, the reviews for Life Aquatic didn't have exactly stellar, so maybe
look at
you're
you.
against
Don't try to
the...
reverse psychology me. Don't try to do that to me.
Sneaky, sir.
Sneaky. What else do I have? Because I haven't seen those other ones yet.
Yeah.
I mean, Young Sheldon is good.
I mean, if there's something that's even you're like a new show that's coming out that you're excited for is SEAL Team.
Yeah.
When does Black Lightning come out? Is that not for a while?
That's a fall. That's a
Oh
mid.
no, that's fall. Yeah,
That's a mid-season. Yeah, but
I'm
that's,
excited for that one as well. That was the other
that's a
one I
new
was
show.
thinking of going with.
So that's one that you could put on there. That's one of the new shows.
I'm looking up to see when is it premiering.
It's to be determined mid-season. So it could be Ghosted.
Once
which
they cancel Orville.
Ghosted, which looks
oh, thank you. Yeah, I'll go Black Lightning because I really am excited for that one. That's if I can go mid-season, I'm gonna go with that. If you say no, I'll go with something else.
no.
Or come back to me. Go to the channel. I don't know. You pick something.
Yeah, I was excited
Is
for
the,
Black
is,
Lightning.
is the channel chiming off on anything that they're
I know Beth was rooting for the Good Doctor.
Yeah.
okay? So we'll give the channel a Good Doctor on that. Does anybody know when Krypton comes out?
No.
Let me see.
On Sci-Fi?
I didn't see it in the new fall. So let me see.
Where are these just coming soon? Release date.
Boiling Point. Don't tell me the boiling point. Just tell me the release date.
Yeah, it's not coming out for a while. It's being put on by David S. Goyer, and I mean it's probably going to be a really freaking awesome show.
Another one, personally, that I might be a little excited for is just I love David Boreanaz. He picks good TV shows.
SEAL Team.
Yeah, SEAL Team.
The man has been on consistent hit shows for like 20 years now.
He has,
yeah,
which is ironic
because it's actually already getting really good reviews. So
I can't vote for the guy because he's
Angel.
No, because personally he's an asshat. So
I've heard
he is. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like, it's so hard because he's got such a bad reputation as like you said, a bunghole, but he picks great TV shows.
Tag bunghole.
Frustrating enigma of a man.
No, right, Jack Mouse, you cannot pick Stranger Things 2 because that's a continuation.
No, that's a continuation of a show. And if we're doing that, I'd pull Will and Grace just for the fan vote. So, or I'd pull Roseanne actually. Because
they're redoing Roseanne.
Roseanne's coming. No, it's not redoing. It's coming back.
No.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If it's got John Goodman, if John Goodman comes back with it, I'm good.
Yeah. I'm down.
So that's all I need.
I watched in the first place.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So the other one that looks really good that hasn't come out yet, it's a mid-season, is The Crossing with Steve Zahn.
Oh, nice.
So, refugees from a war-torn country travel from a future in search of shelter in an American town.
Interesting.
So, yeah, it sounds really interesting. I want to check that out. But I will take for my pick, just because you guys picked everything else that I'm looking forward to. I'll take Me, Myself, and I, because it actually is a really, really funny show, and I think it'll be really good. So we've got The Good Doctor on there. We've got Orville. We've got.
Why don't you switch mine to Young Sheldon? Just because that Black Lightning, we don't even know when it's going to come out. It's going to be sometime in 2018. That's just
okay. Okay, and we'll go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's gonna be second half of the season just to make it something. And
so everybody, if you haven't checked out the episodes, go check them out. Come back and vote on the Nerd Fight. That'll start this next Sunday. It'll go for 2 weeks, so you'll get to be able to really watch the episodes and see if it's going to be a good show or not. And spread the word on the Nerd Fight as well. Remember, malice-corp.com is where the website's at. And while you're there, if you want to get any of your reading materials and things like that, go through to Amazon from our site. It helps us out. You can get a trial to Audible if you haven't used it before through our site as well. That helps us out. We appreciate all the help that you guys give us and all the fun that you have coming here and talking with us about things and talking all things nerds. So as we leave and head out of here, I want to hear what show you're most excited for to come back and where we can follow you. So I see Zorro. Go ahead and let us know.
I don't really have anything else new that I'm excited about, but you can follow me at
not new, but coming back.
Coming back? One that recently came back that I friggin' love is The Good Place. Kristen Bell and Ted Danson. That show is amazing. It's funny as heck, and I don't know what the fork is going on with that show, but it's amazing. You can follow me at ICZorro on Twitter and Instagram.
Super Hoovian. We already know what show you're going to talk about.
I have a countdown. Literally, you can't see it, but I have a countdown going for when Supernatural comes back, and I've got my pie. I'm gonna have my pie ready to go, and I'm gonna have a little bit of whiskey, a la Dean Winchester. So I'm ready. I'm ready for it.
Nice.
And Robert brought up that The Deuce has been good, and I've heard The Deuce is absolutely amazing. And after only 2 episodes, it's already been extended to a second season, so it's supposed to be fantastic.
Wow.
Yeah, HBO show. HBO. Remember, they don't extend stuff until they're sure it's going to be something that's going to be good. So
right.
Beacon, where can we follow you? What are you happy for to return?
Yeah, follow me at Beacon_MaliceCorp, Beacon_MaliceCorp on Twitter. I'm really excited for The Flash to come back. Obviously we kind of got left a little bit of cliffhanger, so I'm excited to see how they're gonna kind of bring things back together. But I am most excited about Stranger Things. Man, cannot wait. Just like when you hear that opening music,
Oh, I get chills. Whew.
it's
I
just
get
like
chills.
that show is so awesome. Those kids are so talented, and it's just super excited for that.
Speaking of those kids being talented, the actor that played Will was in It, and if you guys haven't checked it out on MaliceCorp.com, there was a synopsis article for the It movie written up on there by Gia Tomcat, so go check that out and get her thoughts on there. And let's talk about where you can follow the website before we talk about my stuff. So website, you can follow the website on Twitter at MaliceCorp. You can also follow the official Instagram at MaliceCorp. And you can follow the producer of the show who makes everything run and go beep and make sound. And if you look down in this corner, it says malice-corp.com. He makes that happen too. So Jack Malice. So Jack_Malice on Twitter. For myself, the show that I am most excited for, I'm ready for Walking Dead to come back. It's going to be all out war with Negan. On top of that, we're going to have a great MaliceCast TV talk where Mrs. Malice and Dottie Distortion are going to come and talk about the show as well. That I'll be joining up with them on.
And I would once again like to lay claim to the fact that I introduced that entire family to that show.
But yeah, I can't wait for that to come back. So I'm super, super excited because this is the war. This is the last season I was waiting for this build up to happen, and we're finally getting some fighting is going to happen, and we'll see what happens with that.
I want more Tiger.
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody wants more Tiger. I just like Ezekiel. But you can follow me on Twitter at @mest_MaliceCorp, or you can follow me on Instagram at mest5150. That's where you'll see all the thumbnails that go up for the channel and let you know when we're going live. But the easiest way to know when we're going live is to hit the subscribe button on this channel. Let your friends and family and everybody know about it. If you guys enjoy these chats and you want to have other people join in the chat room with you, let them know about it. Maybe eventually we'll be hitting some other platforms. We're talking to Jay Lee in the chat room about that as well. But we thank you so much for coming out and joining us. Make sure to hit the subscribe button before you guys head out. Make sure to hit that like button. Mm-hmm. And you'll probably see some videos pop up around me if you're not watching this live. And come back next week as we are going to talk about great moments in Nerd October.
And if you don't get the chance to watch it on YouTube, remember you can always download it on iTunes and Stitcher.
Yes. Listen to it audio.
And make sure you check out Nerd Mosh Pit too, which is on iTunes and Stitcher.
We're not as pretty to look at. No. And you guys have a wonderful day and keep nerding on, and we will see you next week.
Yep. Stay nerdy out there.